Hi everyone, I'm Randall Vickerson. Just letting you know, I checked my lottery ticket and yes, I did not win. I know, that surprises you. Sometimes when I think about the lottery ticket and I check those numbers and I feel in the moment, just before I check the numbers, I think today's the day. But I think about the idea that if I win the lottery, then I can be rescued from all the challenges and problems I might be having currently in my life. Not just financial challenges or wishes or plans for being wealthy, whatever that means, but also that somehow it will solve other issues. And that idea of being rescued. And we know that the chances of me actually winning the lottery ticket or winning the lottery is very slim. There is a understanding that we all have challenges and difficult situations throughout our life, and certainly more so perhaps in the last 10, 11 months. There's a great quote by the author Christopher Paolini, and he says, "It's impossible to go through life unscathed, nor should you want to." Because it's actually in those experiences, the good experience and also the challenging experiences, where we learn to be more resilient. When I think about resilience and this idea of being able to persevere or recover from setbacks, or the term that's often used is to bounce back or bounce forward. And sometimes that coming back on track and bouncing back is random luck. More often though, people who are resilient understand that you can actually make your own luck. There are some things you can do, some practices, and these are some things you might already know, but things like meditation, things like gratitude, reframing. We know that these help the brain be more resilient and help us as individuals to build our own resilient strength individually. That said, not always easy. So this was a story told to me from a friend of mine whose son actually in grade 8 went from being an A student to a D student in grade 11. And his son told him this story about, he was writing an exam for biology and he was sitting in the exam that day. And as he sat there and looked over the exam when it was first handed out, he was making a decision whether he should stay or go because he hadn't studied for the exam. So what he did first was look over the exam and look for multiple choice questions. I guess he was looking for the 1 in 4 chance. No multiple choice questions on the exam. Any fill in the blank? He said he did it through word association because he just really did not know the topic or that unit that the exam was on. But he also was aware of this voice in himself. And the voice was this idea of just stay here, do your best on this exam, knowing it's not going to go well, knowing you really don't have more than about 25-30% of the answers. And of course he did stay there through the exam, didn't have a lot to add in terms of answers and responses to the exam, and yes, he failed the exam. But it makes me think about this idea of resilience. You know, we can make our own luck, and there's certainly some practices that I mentioned as well. But there's also this idea, sometimes when things are tough and challenging, and we can see it just doesn't feel like it's getting any better, there are times where we can just stay with it. It might not look pretty. It may not have the exact outcome you're looking for. But it's the belief and the understanding that we are all resilient and that we all have inherently in us this ability to just sometimes just stay with it and know that it will eventually pass and it will eventually shift. Maybe not perfectly, but it does pass. But a resilient skill and an ability is often knowing sometimes you need to just stay with it. So, thanks very much for listening. If you want to learn more about resilience, please check out solutiondevelopmentgroup.com/resilience. Thank you so much.